We've got a wild report coming out of the NBA as the Suns are being ranked as a third tier team, calling them simply a playoff team. This article coming from The Athletic, breaking down some of the best teams in the NBA and landing the Suns outside of being title contenders. Is that true? Are the Suns really on the outside looking in when they're in a win now season? We're going to break it all down for you guys right here on Suns Digest. Thanks for joining us. My name is CJ Pierre, and I've got a good one for you guys before we get into this latest report that is basically calling the Suns non-contenders, pretenders, if you will. We noticed that about 83% of you guys who have been watching our videos from the start have not yet subscribed to the channel. And we appreciate you guys checking us out. But if you want to make sure that you're keeping up to date with all of the latest Suns news and updates as we head into training camp and into the start of next season, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing that we're going to have cooking up for you guys. So let's get into this article that is labeling the Phoenix Suns as just a playoff team. This article coming from The Athletic is putting the top teams in the NBA into tiers and has the Suns listed as a tier 3 team, labeling them a playoff team. Let's just kind of go into the nitty gritty of this article as the Suns are ranked as a third tier NBA team, saying that the Suns have some catching up to do as we get into kind of the breakdown of what this article said. The Athletic recently ranked NBA teams in tiers after most of the offseason has taken place, that being the NBA draft and most of free agency, and discussed if they had improved over the last few months. Phoenix landed in tier 3, labeled as simply playoff teams. Effectively, the Suns were ranked number 12 numerically, basically saying that the Suns are the 12th best team in the NBA, East West, Suns being labeled in the 12th spot. Now, let's take a look at the tiers the Athletic put together. Let's go right here to the bottom. I've got it boldened for you guys. The Phoenix Suns down there in the tier 3, the playoff teams. The Indiana Pacers included, Orlando Magic, Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings, Cleveland Cavaliers alongside the Phoenix Suns. As we move to the top tier, tier 1, which are labeled title contenders, you got the Boston Celtics, the reigning defending NBA champs, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the 1 seed in the Western Conference last season, Dallas Mavericks, the Western Conference champions last season, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who also made it to the Western Conference Finals, and then the Denver Nuggets, who won the NBA championship 2 years ago. Then they got the tier 2 teams, which are brink of contention, the teams that are just right on the bubble of being title contenders. They've got the New York Knicks, New Orleans Pelicans, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Milwaukee Bucks. So you got a mix and match of East and Western Conference teams in both tiers, obviously, and the Phoenix Suns right there in the muck of it with some of those other teams, including the Orlando Magic, which some people might just say, hey, I feel like the Phoenix Suns are a better team than them. But let's take a look and see why the Athletic have the Suns ranked where they do. Zach Harper is the one who wrote this article, and we're just going to get into some of his quotes and his analysis from this article. Zach Harper says, I do think the Suns are slightly better in this upcoming season, is what he's talking about. Mason Plumlee should be an upgrade over Drew Eubanks. Monte Morris is a better fit for their backcourt needs than Eric Gordon. Ultimately, this comes down to how this team performs under new head coach Mike Budenholzer. Will the Stars be healthier and more accountable in championship building tendencies? Can they get Bradley Beal to care in that way? Will Kevin Durant, who turns 36 in September, hold up physically with everything he's asked to do? The Suns have ample talent, but still so many questions. Now, we've kind of gone hand in hand in terms of that, in terms of what this roster was going to look like, the changes that we were going to hope for. A lot of guys coming back, they're kind of running it back. Owner Matt Ishbia, GM James Jones didn't make too many high profile changes. They made changes in the margins, given that the team is a second apron team. They lost guys like Eric Gordon, as mentioned, Drew Eubanks, but they were able to bring in guys like Mason Plumlee, Monte Morris, while also re-signing guys like Josh Okogie, Bol, and Damian Lee. The big three still intact with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. But he highlighted one key factor in terms of what the Suns are going to look like moving forward. The biggest change to this team, and that is head coach Mike Budenholzer. So I'm going to talk about why I think Coach Bud makes the Suns contenders and why his addition is going to be the thing that puts the Suns over the top and makes the most drastic improvement in terms of what they're going to be doing over the course of next season. Now, as we mentioned, Mike Budenholzer named the new head coach. There's a shot of him with GM James Jones during his introductory press conference. Budenholzer, an Arizona kid, grew up watching the Phoenix Suns. This is basically his dream job, essentially, as he replaced Frank Vogel, who the team just saw a lot of lack of chemistry. We saw that in the course of the playoffs. So many plays and possessions where the offense was stagnant, not moving. Of course, Frank Vogel is kind of the defensive minded head coach and doesn't really help the team on the offensive end. Now, if we take a look at Mike Budenholzer and what he is going to be bringing to the table, he has got the pedigree and the experience that I believe is going to help the Suns drastically improve. Take a look at his career record as a head coach. He's got 801 wins on his resume with a winning percentage of 60%. And also during his time with the Milwaukee Bucks, as Suns fans remember, during the 2020-2021 season, the Bucks won the NBA championship against the Phoenix Suns. That wasn't the greatest thing for Suns fans, but having Mike Budenholzer now in the purple and orange is going to be a good thing. Now, Budenholzer is an offensive minded coach, so his ability to really connect with the star players like Devin Booker, like Kevin Durant, is going to be another added thing that the Suns didn't have. There are a lot of reports about the lack of respect that Frank Vogel had in the locker room, players kind of laughing, side eyeing him, and not really taking him seriously. Mike Budenholzer is not going to have that. He's a well respected coach in the NBA. He is someone who is kind of a player's coach, and I think he is going to get the most out of this team, the most out of Devin Booker, the most out of Kevin Durant, and the most out of Bradley Beal, putting those guys in positions where they are going to be able to succeed. And I can't wait to see what Budenholzer does with this team. Now, if we take a look in terms of where the Suns are and where they stack up in the rest of the Western Conference, let's start by looking at where they were in the standings last season. They had the sixth best record in the NBA. Now that's with all the star players, Bradley Beal, Booker, Durant, all missing time with injuries. And they still were able to rack up 49 wins, gaining the sixth seed in the Western Conference, 8 games back of first place. But the key thing that I want to point out there is that they were only 2 games out of having home court advantage in the playoffs. A game here, a game there could have completely changed what the team's prospects were heading in to the playoffs and could have changed their matchup. Seeing them match up with a team like the Clippers, for example, in the first round may have been better for them as opposed to matching up with a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who eventually swept the Phoenix Suns. So I think that that is a pretty key thing to look at when in terms of can the Suns improve and move forward in terms of where they rank in terms of the contenders. They were this close from being a team that had home court advantage in the Western Conference, where the fifth seed is the one that made it to the NBA play finals coming out of the West, that being the Dallas Mavericks. Now the West is loaded. The Oklahoma City Thunder got better. The Minnesota Timberwolves got better, particularly with their rookies. The Denver Nuggets are always going to be there, and those are why they're contenders. But then the Suns are ranked under teams like the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, the Pelicans made an addition. They got DeJounte Murray to join their team, but they also lost Jonas Valanciunas. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what the Pelicans look like. But even with the addition of Murray, I don't know if I would put them ahead of the Suns. And I think that that is kind of reflected in terms of when you look at things like odds and betting. This is the betting odds for the Western Conference winner coming out of DraftKings. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the favorites, followed by the Denver Nuggets, Dallas Mavericks, and Timberwolves. But then you slot in the teams with plus 1,000 odds, the Lakers, and then the Suns with the sixth best odds to win the championship according to DraftKings, followed by the Grizzlies, the Warriors, and then the Pelicans. So you got to kind of look at in terms of what you're projecting these teams to look like heading into the next season. I think the Suns, if they're able to stay healthy, which is a big if, we know this, I think that they are definitely going to be one of the better teams in the NBA and in the Western Conference. If you take a look at the Western Conference teams versus the Eastern Conference teams, it's quite easy to say that maybe if you're looking at just the what you're expecting each team to look like, you'd probably take maybe the top 8 teams in the West before you take the third or fourth best team in the East. And that's, not knocking those Eastern Conference teams like the 76ers or the Knicks. I just think the Western Conference teams stack up really well against any of those guys. The Western Conference season was loaded. The to get out of the play-in, you had to win at least 49 games. It's kind of a wild situation that we haven't seen in the NBA in a long time with so many teams in one conference. Now, moving forward, if we also take a look at the Suns' win record in terms of what teams should look like, the DraftKings over/under for the Suns is 46 and a half wins. So if it goes over, it'd be 47. under, it would be exactly 46. Now, that would be either one of those would be less wins than what the Suns had last season. So if we're projecting that the Suns are going to be a better team, barring health, if all things being considered, then that's an easy over bet that they will be over that win total. I believe this Phoenix Suns team can be a 50 win team, and I'll be excited to see if that is able to happen. Now, overall, I think the Suns are contenders. I think that they're a team that, is this close. They were this close from putting themselves in a position where they could have made a run last year. Given the additions that they made, the new head coach in Mike Budenholzer, I think they absolutely have a chance to win it all this season if everything goes right. It's not going to be easy. The West is loaded with great, great teams, but I feel like the Phoenix Suns are one of them. So I slightly disagree with the Athletics perception of what the Phoenix Suns are going to be. I don't think they're just a playoff team. I believe they are one of the title contenders in the NBA. But that's just what I think. We want to hear what you guys think. Do you believe the Phoenix Suns are title contenders, or do you think they're just a playoff team? Let us know in the comment section below. Now, we appreciate you guys for everything that you guys do, checking out our videos, looking at our channel, sharing our content, commenting away. We want you guys to keep up the pace. Let us know what you guys think. And if you want to make sure you're keeping up to date with all the latest Suns news and updates, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing that we are going to have working for you guys as we look forward to what should be an exciting NBA season. That's all the time I got for you guys. We thank you so much for joining us here on Suns Digest. Again, my name is CJ Pierre, and I will catch you guys next time. And go, Phoenix Suns.